nanapua o Hawaii Tupa ama hope o ka aina Iki mai ka elele. Aloha and welcome to another production of the Hawaiian National Broadcast Corporation. We are on the grounds of Nanaikapono Elementary School here in Nanakuli, also within the Ewa district of the island of Oahu. Our guest in this program is Puanani Keli'i, also known as Mama Keli'i, and I will ask Mama to introduce yourself with more than just your name, but some of your experiences. You were saying that you have been a missionary in other areas?
Yes, I have been a missionary. Well, I live in Okinawa 13 years. I've gone there really with my granddaughter, taking her to Okinawa to meet my daughter, which was working with the federal. And so, because I babysit my grandchildren, my granddaughter refused to go with the mom, so I went to Okinawa.
And there's always those types of conditions that result in your travel to Okinawa. Have there been other places that you have gone to?
Oh yes, many places. I've been to the Philippines, Korea, Japan, also Guam, China. Been a lot of places and done a lot of mission work and all over the United States.
And the mission work was both in terms of religion as well as medicine.
Right, medical missions. My job was to take care of people coming in from, especially in the Philippines. A lot of the Ayates that lives in the mountains, they needed medical attention. So my job was to make sure that they were cleaned up before they left the place, they left the area.
You know, sometimes I wonder if what is more important, and maybe it's not a fair question, is it the medical knowledge of Western medicine, or is it the ability to relate to people and develop a rapport or a relationship so that you can begin the work that is needed?
Yes, it's a relationship, really. Getting to love the people. You know, it's sad that government keeps them in the area the way they are. And, these people, I mean, you really get to love them because even as the government gave them food, they didn't rely on the government because they fed the food to the animals. They raised their own food, and that was their food. The animals, they raised their own rice, and they did not depend on the government to take care of them. They depended upon themselves. And the food that was given to them by the government was fed to the animals.
You know, I wanted to raise this background of you because your testimony tonight had asked a question that I thought it came from a different place, not a legalistic place, but a more humane place. And your question was, who are the Native Hawaiian people or the Native Hawaiian community? Can you explain what your concerns were with regards to that?
Yes, my concern was in this program that they gave to us, news release, it says Hawaiian, Native Hawaiian community. I'm a Hawaiian. Native Hawaiian, clarify to me what is Native Hawaiian. My grandfather been here since 1920 when they first opened Nanakuli. He worked for Hawaii Meat. He brought home milk from the mountains with the animals that he took care. He had to milk the cows. He brought down gallons of milk in steel gallons, put it outside on the road. Waianae dairy would come pick up all the gallons, take it to Dairyman's. Didn't have Foremost at that time, was Dairyman's. And so we were brought up on cracker and milk. And so we were satisfied with what we had. But we also made sure when my grandfather and grandmother went to pound poi, we were there to clean the taro, while my grandma and my grandpa on one side of the boat pound the poi, and they would put it in a bag. My brother and I would go on the horse and deliver poi to the community. We were Hawaiian people looking after the Hawaiian people. But now we have so much generation here in Hawaii. You cannot determine who is Hawaiian because we have Japanese Hawaiian, Chinese Hawaiian, Portuguese Hawaiian, Filipino Hawaiian, Mexican Hawaiian. So who are we? When you say Native Hawaiian community, are we talking about all these people, or are we talking about Hawaiians in general? Because who are they taking care of?
What would your answer be if someone asked you, what is your definition of a native Hawaiian community? Would you be stressing the native part? Would you be stressing the Hawaiian part? Or would you be stressing the community part?
I would be stressing most Hawaiian community. Why are we natives? I mean, you can say native Indian, native Japanese. Listen, the Japanese can go back to Japan. We still Hawaiian. The Portuguese can go back to Portugal. We still Hawaiian. I mean, this is our island. But all these people, we have a mixed community. We are the melting pot of Hawaii. All these other nationality can go back to where their roots come from. We Hawaiians, we here. Who are they addressing?
How do you answer the question or the point? Because you have generations after generations of Portuguese, of Filipinos, of Japanese, and others who will respond by saying, I'm sorry, but I cannot go because there is no other homeland than Hawaii for me. So how do you deal with that? Because it's a very human question as well. And from a Hawaiian perspective, is it appropriate to look at a person by his koko, or is it more appropriate to look at him by his relationship to aina? Kua aina, hoa aina, kama aina.
Well, I would say because now I'm giving you an analogy of Kamehameha schools. It used to be Hawaiians that could go there. Then it came half Hawaiian. Now, as long as you have maybe your fingernail Hawaiian, you qualify for Hawaiian. So the Hawaiian is disappearing. So where are the Hawaiians? My perspective is take care the Hawaiian people first. Because we are in Hawaii. We share our Hawaii, our love to the people. We share whatever we have. But do they share with us? They kick the Hawaiians to the curb. Why I'm saying that is because when we go to apply for a job, you from Waianae, you on the bottom of the list. And I know that for a fact. But if you from Honolulu, you get Higa name or Miyasato or a different nationality, you get hired. The Hawaiians are put on the side.
So you're saying that the first people of this land is at the bottom of the totem pole, so at least we got to address that issue.
Yes, we need to address that issue and make sure they know what Hawaiian they're talking about. Yes, I love the community. I work in the community. I work all over. I help people. I help people in the store. I help people in the school. I volunteer at the school. It's not the pay. It's the people that I aloha in the school. But they pay me because, I'm there. And so it's only, they look at me and they say, oh no, we're going to pay you. We're going to put you on. But the money does help. But my aloha for the Hawaiian people is more. Even education. You know what? This educational system today is the bottom, is the pits. And why I'm saying that is because my granddaughter that came from the mainland, came here in Hawaii, went to school. She had to catch the bus because the DOE, the English she had here in the school at Nanakuli High School, She had it in the 5th grade on the mainland. She had to catch the bus, go to Leeward to get English and social studies so that she could graduate with what she already learned. Our DOE is not looking out for our people, our Hawaiian people. They're not. I don't know what
So
the
that-
DOE is doing.
Yeah, that's part of the big discrepancy between the education results or the scores that many of our students from Waianae or Nanakuli have in comparison with some of the other schools. You think that's discriminatory?
Yes, very much so.
Do you think it's intentional?
Well, I don't think it's intentional. It's just that we got overlooked a lot of times. Nana Kuli, they're looking at us, but they're not hearing us.
So you just reversed the definition.
Yes, Nana Kuli. They're Kuli to what it means, yeah. They're not listening to what we're saying.
Mama Kili'i, I want to thank you very much for being so expressive, so down to earth, and so fundamental without any attempt to gloss over, just saying it as it is. Mahalo anuilo.
Oh, you're welcome.
And so I
Mahalo.
want to thank you again for joining us. This is Poka Lainui, and you have been listening to Kaleo o Napoe. Aloha Hawaii. Thank you.
Kaulana nā pua o Hawaii Kupa a mahope o ka aina Iki mai ka elele o ka loko i